we have any declarations of interest from members? No. Any business required by statute to be done? No. Any questions from the members about the minutes of the last meeting? So the first piece of business, the appointment of the Chief Executive, I'll hand over to Hilary.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report asks Council to approve the appointment of Matt Wilton as Chief Executive and Head of Paid Service following the recommendation of the Appointments Panel. Following the current Chief Executive's intention to retire, a full recruitment process began in November 25, supported by the recruitment agency Gateway Sanderson. The campaign ran from the 20th of November to the 9th of January and attracted 11 applicants. 5 candidates were longlisted and took part in technical interviews in the stakeholder panel. 4 progressed to final interview. Stakeholder involvement included representatives from the Combined Authority, Cleveland Police, the Hospital Trust and the Northern School of Art. The Appointments Panel held its final interviews on the 27th of January and identified Matt Wilton as the preferred candidate. The recruitment process complied with all statutory, constitutional and employment requirements. The role is already within the Council's budget and the appointment ensures we meet our statutory duty to maintain a head of paid service. Council is therefore asked to note the recruitment and selection process undertaken for the appointment of the Chief Executive as the Head of Paid Service and to approve the recommendation of the Appointments Panel to appoint Matt Wilton as Chief Exec Head of Paid Service subject to satisfactory completion of pre-employment checks.
Thank you, Chair. Just got my thing stuck with me and the density badge. Apologies. Just wanted to say just a few words really, I think, about the process and about the appointment. I think there are only probably possibly a handful of us in the chamber that were here when the last time when we actually recruited an external candidate. I think we've had a sort of a series of internal candidates through a good succession planning that have come forward. So this is quite probably an unusual situation for a lot of people in this chamber. But I just wanted to, I suppose, remark on actually the thorough process that we did go through, and really just, I suppose, as a sense of reassurance for the room, just to give you an idea of how extensive that was. You know, it went out on all of our websites, it went out through social media, it went out on LinkedIn. You know, on my post alone on LinkedIn, it was reposted 41 times through a huge range of national contacts that I've got, and then they shared it on. It had something like over the video that we produced as part of the recruitment, had over 5,000 views. And that was just one post on LinkedIn. And in addition to that, there were views on YouTube. You know, it was reshared on Facebook and a number of comments. So it was a really extensive search, and I think that the cross-party panel that made the decision did have quite a good selection of candidates to choose from, and I can assure you that the panel, and obviously Bob and Sue were on that, we did give them a substantial grilling, and we made sure that the questions were deep and searching to make sure that they had a commitment to being in Hartlepool, and that actually this was not just a job for them, it was that they really understood that we as a borough are on a mission to transform the lives of the people who live here. So it was an incredibly robust process, and I think it was a really good process. And I just want to read, I suppose, it's about giving reassurance. You know, some of the comments that were on the LinkedIn post that the Borough Council put out to announce that Matt Wilton had been successful. You know, things like, congratulations, Matt, sad news for us in Newcastle though. Another one, it's been a real pleasure working with you. Our loss is Hartlepool's gain. Another one, a great appointment for Hartlepool Borough Council. I'm really pleased for you and for Hartlepool. Awesome news for Hartlepool. Like, there's a string of lots of positive comments, and I know that when I've talked to stakeholders since about the appointment, you know, they've all been incredibly positive about it and excited. And this is a man that is of great character and experience. You know, he is Deputy Chief Executive of a big council in the North East. So I think we've got ourselves a really good candidate. Obviously, the proof will be in the pudding, and that's for us as councillors across the council to make sure that we hold him to account and make sure that he delivers for us and for our residents. And I think one of the strong things, and again, you know, those who were on the interview panel will say that Matt was very keen on saying that every single councillor is equal in this chamber and in this council, and that actually he doesn't believe in that hierarchical sort of structure, and that his door is open to every single one of us, which is a really positive thing to hear a future chief executive say. And certainly in the spirit of cross-party working and driving the borough forward, that's where we have to put aside our personal views and recognise that you know, we've got a man who is making that decision with his career and putting his family on the line. So it's a really good appointment. I would recommend it to council, and I think it's also worth reminding all of us that actually, whilst we are sad to leave our current chief executive, and there will be time, I don't want to open the floor for that because there will certainly be a time for all of the nice comments and probably some tears, but we cannot stop somebody from retiring as much as we may want to. And if that decision is taken by that individual for the reasons that are right for them and their family, we should honour and respect that and let them go when the time is right for them. But in terms of saving money for the public purse, what we've managed to do with this appointment is we've managed to save circa £20,000 to the public purse. Because I, for one, like I'm sure a lot of other people, are sick of hearing all the time, all the social media posts out there that tell us that we're wasting public money every time we step in this civic centre. So I think it probably comes as a great reassurance to them that actually, and across the assistant directors we did the same, we are trying to redress that balance and trying to save the public purse and create efficiencies. Because I think it's a bloody honour, and I think it's an honour to come and work for this local authority. And just today, there was an independent review that was done of the most productive councils in the UK. And out of nearly 200 councils, I am proud as punch to say that we are number 6 on that list. Number 6 out of around 200 councils, we are the most productive. And that's for a small local authority, and we are the only local authority in the North East to be on that list. So I think that's a testament to every single one of us. And that's not to say that we are the finished article, and it's not to say that we get every single decision right. I'm sure there are people in the gallery out there that think that we don't, that, you know, there are improvements to be made, and yes, we would agree with that. But we are productive, we've got a new chapter ahead, we've got money coming in, we've got opportunities that are going to be there for generations to come, and I'm delighted to commend him for appointment and hope that everybody joins me in supporting that. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That was a really good pitch, so it's obviously been an interesting process. I saw a lot of the social media and LinkedIn posts that went out. It was great effort by everybody involved to get that improvement to be absolutely on point, and congratulations for that. I think the other thing as well is we've got to be mindful of the fact that we have a massive regeneration programme ahead of us still, and it's been going on for a number of years, as we know, and he seems to be the kind of person, Matt that is, seems to be the kind of person who can grab that by the horns and take that forward. And from this side, I think we need to give this person a chance. It's obviously been a rigorous recruitment process, so we too should, I think, in my opinion, support this appointment.
I think we're going to record the vote now.
It's not easy if there's any consent.
Do we decide if I need to record the vote?
Okay, fine. Thank you very much. Councillor Allen.
For.
Councillor Bailey, 4. Councillor Boddy.
4.
Councillor Buchan.
4.
Councillor Clayton. Not here. Those apologies being put in. Councillor Cook. 4. Councillor Cranny.
4.
Councillor Creevy. 4. Councillor Darby.
4.
Councillor Dodds.
4.
Councillor Doyle.
4.
Councillor Dunbar.
4.
Councillor Feeney.
4.
Councillor Hall.
4.
Councillor Hargreaves.
4.
Councillor Harrison. 4. Councillor Holbrook.
4.
Councillor Johnson.
4.
Councillor Leydon.
4.
Councillor Lindridge.
4.
Councillor Little. 4. Councillor Morgan. 4. Councillor Napa. 4. Councillor Nelson.
4.
Councillor Oliver. 4. Councillor Reeve. Not here either. Apologies. Councillor Riddle. 4. Councillor Roy.
4.
Councillor Scarborough.
4.
Councillor Smith. 4. Councillor Thompson. 4. Councillor Wallace.
4.
Councillor Young.
4.
That's unanimous. So thank you. Do you have any announcements you'd like to make tonight? No, thank you very much. Any business remaining in the last meeting? No. Any reports from council committees receiving questions and answers on any of those reports? Any other business specified in the summons? We don't have any other business? No. Consider reports from policy committees. We have proposal in relation to council's approved budget and policy framework. Is that just to be noted? No. Anything for departures from that? No. So we will move straight on to the motions, I think, next, and we will consider the first motion, which has been proposed by Councillor Young.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We are all aware in this chamber that cuts have been a reality for a number of years, and we don't need to go over those sadnesses. And I think what we have is a situation at the moment where a lot of work is being done by councillors and committees and by officers to prepare the best plan possible within the confines of that budget. So I'm making that clear, that's what I'm saying to you. This merely looks at the possibility of going to neighbourhood services again and reviewing some of the routes and some of the locations of where the Griffins are positioned. I'm happy to say that this has already kind of started. There's been a lot of movement from Chair Committee, Councillor Riddle. He's already made his presence felt in this situation, so I appreciate that and thank you for that. But it's just a case of taking this back to the committee, if people are minded to agree, to look at certain locations. Obviously, in my ward, this is not all schools, but in my ward, there's a school at the top of the hill, and that's become a bit of a problem when icy conditions hit. So West Park Primary seeking some support, I think, in that respect. But it's other things like estates that are finding it difficult. Certainly, again, what I've had during that week, I think we had a number of emails and calls about Elwood Rise and Elwood Gardens and places like that. So it's just to see if we can work together, put something to give the ASSI officers to have a look and see if there's anything we can do for these particular issues. Thank you. So second that.
Councillor Riddle.
Thanks to the Councillor for his comments as well, I really appreciate it. Just very briefly, I'd say that on this, it is a very serious matter, and something we do consider take seriously, as you know from conversations that we've had as well. I think largely though, with regards to the motion itself, I think officers are doing this. Obviously, it's a case of whether we the outcome of it. I think what I would say generally is that this decision has come along from the airport as well. And I know it's quite easy for people when the sun is shining and there's no particular issues that doesn't get reported. So we appreciate when the sun is shining, we make sure these issues are raised as well, not just when it's snowing and it's icy. At the same time, I think what I would say is probably worth having a bit of a refresher for a lot of the members as well, just to see what the criteria is. Just go through the criteria. Likewise, reviewing certain routes as well, as you've done and the councils have done as well. So I think my referral here would be that I would move to refer to the neighbourhood committee. So they have a proactive look at it and refer back to it later.
Thank you.
Can we ask, is there any dissent on this motion to go to council committee? Thank you. And we have a motion again from Councillor Young.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It will be removed. Sorry.
You're short tonight, Mike.
I haven't got a very good voice either tonight. Yet again, the voice is not great. What want to start with thanks again on this one. Thanks to our MP, Jonathan Brash, who's been very proactive with regards to the Winnie Primary School issue. Councillor Morley, who's Chair of Children's Services, our lead on Children's Services, trying to push it through. Alison, the Executive Director of Children's Services. Oh, there we go. Hi, Alison. I didn't know you were here, so I apologise for that. But yeah, so we've had a lot of impetus on this. And again, it's down to things that we don't necessarily control at this level. But to see that there's been a lot of proactivity on this matter, for what is a situation that's been going on for a number of years, again, it's a school that's part of the framework, it's part of the master plan for Wingate. Wingate is one of our biggest growing areas in terms of housing, so there's a lot of understanding there around growth. I just want to say a couple of points. Personally, it is acknowledged that the Rural West councillors couldn't attend the public meeting on Friday evening, and that was purely down to the fact that we felt that it might get a bit political at that point, so we refrained from going there because there was a point of direction. Another point is it was a bit disappointing not to be asked to join the stakeholder meeting that was held, I think, a week before, but we accept again that there was things to be discussed there that we maybe weren't privy to, so we accept that. But I think the bigger point here is working together yet again to try and get the best result for our kids and our families going forward. We've got to get this school back on the map. I appreciate that the Chancellor, and I said the Chancellor deliberately, I wrote to the Secretary of State on the 16th of December and got no response. I let Alison know and asked whether there's anything I could do with your parish council. We're already working with the MP and with yourself, Melanie, along with Alison, to bring that data to the fore, and they shared with that with me. So I was confident at that point, but at least it was on the radar and was on the agenda going forward. So for me, we just got to get it right for our families, and I think if we're all on the same page with that, then we're not doing so bad, and that's the basis of this motion. Thank you.
I think it may be useful at this point for people who are not necessarily able to speak on matters to invite Mr. Brashcourt to give us some dates on this topic.
Has he been invited by council or
Has he been invited by myself?
so the notice will be appreciated?
I thought you knew.
Maybe he's a dangerous thing, Madam.
Yes, but I haven't.
Thank you. I mean, you were expecting me, but on your social media earlier. Thank you, Matthew. I'm going to say it's a pleasure to see you in the chair and a privilege to be here after an unusually quiet week in Westminster. Before I turn to the motion, which I'll only talk to very briefly, the time that it's going to be a problem if you want all the information to this, I'll be honest, I think it's important that members understand how we got here, what we've done, and where we're hoping to land with it. In October 2024, the government announced a review of 44 free school projects. A review, by the way, that was not about cost. It was about whether the projects met local need, whether they risk destabilising existing provision. A really good example of that is the Eton Star Teesside College proposal, one heavily criticised by our FE principal, as it risked damaging our already excellent FE college network. But it also included the Winnie Primary School, and let me be absolutely clear, I support this school, it is needed, and the minded to cancel decision is wrong. So following a Winnie Parish Council meeting in September, I raised concerns directly with Mrs. publicly in the House and privately about the slow speed of the review. And then on the 8th of December, I met with the Schools Minister, who informed me of the minded to cancel decision. And the next day I met with the Secretary of State, made clear my opposition to this decision and my determination to challenge it via appeal. Both ministers, I have to say, supported that approach. On the 12th of December, I met with the Melrose Trust to begin preparing that appeal, and with the Secretary of State's support, I then met DfE Special Advisors on the 16th of December to examine the evidence used by officials. That meeting exposed clear gaps in the department's analysis and showed us exactly how the case needed to be challenged. I shared that immediately with Councillor Morley, Councillor Officers and the Trust. And on the 9th of January, we met formally as a Council, Trust and Parish Council and myself to coordinate the appeal strategy. Following week, I met again with the Schools Minister to confirm our intention to appeal something mirrored by the Council with the DfE officials. On the 23rd of January, at the invitation of the Parish Council, I attended a public meeting with Wynyard residents alongside Councillor Morley, Councillor Boddy, representatives of the Trust and the MP of Stockton North. We made our support absolutely clear. I would pay tribute to the Parish Council, who have already collected 1,000 signatures in support of this. On the 28th of January, all parties met again to finalise the appeal. 3 submissions from the Council, the Trust and the Parish Council were submitted with an overarching cover letter from myself in a form I agreed with ministers. The appeal was submitted before 5 p.m. On the deadline of the 13th of January. Since then, I've met again both with the Schools Minister and the Secretary of State to press for the fastest possible decision, and that process is ongoing as things stand. The appeal itself, in many respects, this is really what members need to understand, is clear and compelling. The updated SCAP data, which is school capacity data, shows that there are 346 more pupils than projected than at the time of the original decision. Housing already in the pipeline adds a further 258 primary age pupils. In-year admissions account for 195 pupils. And elective home education adds a further latent demand of around 60 pupils. So between the DfE taking this decision to cancel and now, there are around 860 more pupils than the DfE anticipated when they took that decision. And that doesn't even take into account the homes that yet do not have planning permission. But they are anticipated by the local plan, which would take Wynyard from around 2,600 homes to nearly 10,000 homes by 2041. And moreover, the unique geography of Wynyard means there are no schools within reasonable walking distance and are not already oversubscribed. This is a serious evidence-based case, and I place on record my thanks to the Parish Council and Melrose Trust for their outstanding children's services team, led by the Director and Councillor Morley.
Chair. I've just noticed that the timer has expired, but I've just given the serious nature and the fact that could we move that? Could we agree to move to not have an issue around the time? Would that be okay? Just think about our governance here.
Personally speaking, Councillor Hargreaves, I thought this was information that every member of the council would be quite happy to hear, and I for one would be more than happy for him to finish. Do people agree with me?
Thank you very much. Now, Madam Mayor, with regard to the motion, look, I can handle this one of 2 ways. I don't really understand the motion, if I'm absolutely honest with you. It's too late, misdirected, and irrelevant all at once. And let me be clear as to why. The deadline for the appeal has passed, and here we are considering a motion after the appeal deadline. What I find most frustrating, and I want to make it...
Not for you, because it is. It's not your...
Oh no, I understand. Yeah, well, I'm speaking to my perspective on it. But what I find most frustrating, I think, about this situation... What I find most frustrating about this situation is that last summer I wrote to every single councillor on Hartlepool Borough Council to say that my door was always open, that I would discuss any issue in a cross-party way with the support there. And it is really frustrating.
Might I just call a halt?
Yes, you can.
I'm conscious that we all agree that we would like the update.
This is global information, Madam
I'm speaking, thank you,
Please speak to the motion.
and I'm conscious that we've now moved out of that area, so I would be comfortable if Mr. Brash will
Madam Mayor, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Okay. So, Councillor Young, is there anything you'd like to add?
Only to say that we seem to be all on the same page. We want to see this still happen, and I appreciate that. And we should go to the vote as it's been seconded. Thank you.
Councillor
Councillor Harkins, Lee would like to say something, so please, yeah, go ahead.
It was only really just to say that, you know, it was only at the last meeting that we taught, you know, I stood at that lectern and said, wouldn't it be really good if we could just sort of put the kind of like the attempts at petty point scoring stuff behind it. What I should say, actually, just a point of information for you, Mike, I think somebody else might be writing your social media post, because how you are in this chamber, it just seems to be completely different to the tone and manner and the kind of comments that you put in your social media. But that's just so you're aware of that. Just in case you didn't know someone else was writing your social media. But I just think in relation to something like this, it's like, you know, and again, your comments, Mike, about like cancelling your apologies, about working together and all being on the same page, right? It's like, like, I don't understand how we've got a motion here. It's actually after the deadline. Like, why? Like, it's about trying to cast aspersions. It's about trying to say that things aren't being done, when actually Councillor Morley, Councillor Boddy and our MP have actually been, along with the parish councils, along with the residents of Wynyard, have been fighting on this and campaigning and gathering the information, along with the trust and all of the people who it appertains to, have been working together to try and put a positive pace forward. And here we are, like there was no need, like it's just, and it's a pointless exercise to write something after the deadline.
All the information we didn't have, Councillor Hargreaves, so we're given a lot of information for the first time tonight. We've tried to do that as an exercise and struggled to get that information, so we're getting that information tonight, which is why the motion was made.
Councillor Morley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for your kind words, Councillor Young. I can confirm in this chamber that I've not received any emails regarding from the other side of the chamber regarding this issue. Had I received any emails, I would of course updated and furnished any relevant detail that you required. Alison Sutherland and I have been working very closely on it, and Councillor Young, my understanding is you did send her an email on the 7th of January, I do believe, just confirming and for reassurance and assurances that actually the work was being done and carried out, to which we appreciate, and Alison Sutherland did give you a reply, I do believe as well, for the assurances that we have been working tirelessly, and we, I say, our team, Julie Reid, Amanda Whitehead, Alison Sutherland, myself, Councillor Boddy, the Melrose Trust, the MP, Jonathan Brash, and actually I pay tribute today to the phenomenal work the parish councils were doing on both sides, actually, the Stockton and the Hartlepool side. And actually, going to Councillor Hargreaves' point, it's been a fantastic collaborative approach in a very short space of time. Alison and I were reading documents and working through Christmas. After Christmas, we were in touch on a daily basis, looking at the data, looking at the parameters, and working with our absolutely phenomenal team internal. Now, it's not very often that children's services, with the overspend it has had for many years, gets to shine, actually. Yes, it shines every day with the work it does. Thank you, Madam Mayor, but it's done phenomenal. So I pay tribute to the team. I would like to propose an amendment, and I would like to propose the amendment and delete everything after council resolves and state this council writes across party and has signature of every member who wishes to sign a letter of support in respect to St Joseph's Schools that can be hand-delivered to the Secretary of State by our MP Jonathan Brash. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank
you, Madam Mayor. Delighted to second that. I could add much more, but I won't. There's never ever been any attempt to to make this anything other than across the council. People may or may not decide not to participate. I can't speak, but the participants at the meetings that we've had and Jonathan attended were not closed meetings, they were open. No one attended other than the ones that have already been mentioned. Moreover, we've had several Children's Services Committee meetings since this matter came to light, and no one has mentioned it at those meetings. So it's rather politic, I think, to have brought it up tonight. And as been mentioned, if we just left it, we would have missed the deadline. And all our hot air would have meant nothing. Thankfully, Alison and her team have written and produced a fantastic appeal document which has gone along with the parish council, and I think Keith and Kane need a great deal of thanks for that. And I also think that the Melrose Trust have done their bit in it. And the public meeting, as I was told, the relevant councillors were all invited. No one can make them attend. Was very well attended by the residents of Wynyard. It had Jonathan and Chris there, almost unheard of, and was very productive, very concerted, and very determined. And I'll be amazed if we don't win the appeal. And I hope people who weren't part of that don't start taking the credit. Thank you.
Shall we go to vote, Mike?
Right to reply, please.
Right to reply, Mike?
Thank you. To be honest, we were invited to the initial stakeholder meeting. I'm very good authority that there were political bans up at the public meeting, so one of the reasons we didn't go is because there was political bans rather up at the public meeting, so that was the reason that we decided not to go into that. I think we can accept the amendments, we want to work together, so I accept that. And I would say as well that this is about information, and we want to make sure that we stay in the loop and be invited to stakeholder meetings, not just public meetings.
So, do we have any dissent on the amendment? So, we will take the motion forward with you. No dissent? Okay. And we were in such a galloping rush to get on with everything, we didn't agree the minutes at the beginning of the meeting. And that brings us to the end of tonight's business. Thank you all very much indeed. Please be upstanding. It's Denise leading me astray. So Denise, we have no report, please. Any questions from the public? We have no questions, thank you. Any questions from the members of the Group 10? Any further questions? Meetings of the Cleveland Fire Authority. Just say we received.